And thank you for joining us here on PM Express. There's a major conversation happening within the New Patriotic Party, the main opposition New Patriotic Party. And it's fascinating because I don't think I've actually recovered from the 2024 elections. For me, it seems like just yesterday. And so when this week, in fact, towards the end of last week, we woke up and the campaign seemed to have started again all over. Who is going to become the flag bearer of the NPP? I felt a headache. But it is a reality of what we do. And I'm pretty sure most of the individuals in the NPP currently who are vying to lead the party in 2024 elections have long gotten over the hangover of 2024 and already focusing on 2028. And a fascinating dynamic to this is what we're going to be analyzing today. There seem to be parliamentary battle lines already drawn on this particular subject. But I'm also just learning that the party may have issued a gag order on associations and groups meeting the various aspirants, but I'm not sure they asked them necessarily just to keep quiet. But this is a party that believes in the freedom of speech, and so we'll get to that. I believe this is going to be a very fascinating conversation tonight. You don't want to go anywhere. To think that we are some 3 years, 5 months, and 13 days to the next election. And already we are talking about the contest. And trust me, people have not lacing, they have laced their boots already to campaign for the next elections. The cycle has started very, very early. Normally it takes a bit of time for the electioneering machines of the main opposition party to kick up steam and to go again. But it has already started, and it turns out that, once the party announced that 31st January is going to be the date for the presidential primary, you knew the whistle had blown. And once the NPP starts like this, trust me, the NDC is watching very closely when to jump into. So really, we're going to have 3.5 years of political campaigning before 2028. Goodness me, I am already tired talking about it. But let's look at it. This is Ghana, and politics is what we do, partisan politics. The man who I guess many say is the outright favorite in the field as far as the NPP is concerned is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And it's obvious why many think he is a favorite. He has been on the ballot or close to it for 5 elections since 2008. I mean, he is the most marketed politician today. If you remove John Dramani Mahama, he's the most marketed candidate, aspirant, call it what you may. He was there in 2008. He was there in 2012. He was there in 2016. He was there in 2020. He was there by himself this time. His face was on the ballot for the first time himself in 2024. 5 elections. So if you're looking for somebody who's being sold, his name is well known, his thoughts are known and clear, it's him. So he really has an advantage. I don't care what anybody says. He has an advantage over everybody else in the NPP right now by the sheer fact that he just has been there as running mate to Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo for 3 elections, in fact 4 elections until the last elections. He has an advantage. He's the most marketed. But therein also lies his disadvantage. Because he's been there, he was in government, and the government that recently lost the election really was, I think there's no argument, has been one of the most catastrophic in Ghana's 4th Republican history, because it was associated with that. And the sort of outcomes that we got, the economy, I mean, a lot of unprecedented negative things happened that we've never seen in the economy before. And he was part of that. That obviously also gives him a bit of a disadvantage. But if you're talking purely about a man who people know, he's been sold, you don't need to sell him too much for people to understand, that's him. And many say, well, the party is coerced to his whims and caprices, but that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But there are a few others who want to challenge him. Kenneth Japan obviously wants to challenge him. He's in the fray for that. You have Brian Champon, who also wants to challenge him. And then you also have the former Education Minister, Electoral, who wants to challenge him too. I say he is the outright front runner here. They are underdogs in his shadow. They're really gunning for him. He's the man who was on the ballot the last time. He really is an outright front runner as far as is concerned. The rest of them are underdogs in this particular race. And people say, well, they like the underdog story, but it's going to take some beating to knock Dr. Bawumia off his perch. So what has been happening? We know that the party now announced that, well, in National Delegates Conference in July, we're looking forward to that. And then the big one was the announcement of 31st January 2026 as the date for the presidential primaries. And I said to myself, if the party announced this, that was an admission, that was a blowing of the whistle for the campaigns to start. I mean, it is too late for the party to not try and rein him in. It's just not possible. What they need to do is very, very quick about opening nominations because they can't stop the train. They themselves did this by announcing that they have 6 months to campaign and to be elected within the party. That is why we are where we are. But the fascinating thing about the party is that their history says something very interesting, that nobody had gone and attempted to win the flag bearership of the party, to become the party's leader in an election and won it for the first time, even if the person wins the primary and stands in the national elections. Their history says going once is almost a foregone conclusion that you are bound to lose. And that you pretty much have heard those who support Bawumia make the point. And they look at this graph here, because they'll tell you about Edu Boahen. He went, he lost after he won the primary, right? 56%. They'll tell you about John Kufuor. He went the first time, he lost 51%. He went again in 1998, 64. And then, of course, he went again, as you know, in 2000 and won the national elections, right? Look at the presidential primary contest. You win, but it doesn't necessarily translate into victory in the national elections. That's the NPP story. As for Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, many who have described him as a serial loser. In fact, there were people in the NDC at the time who said he would never be president in this republic. He became president because obviously he had won in 2007, and I was there that night when he won under very controversial circumstances, and he went to national elections when the lot going for the party at the time on the back of Kufuor's fantastic handling of the economy, and they still lost elections. And then you have the 2010, he won again the primaries, and 78% overwhelming indeed. He went again, lost. And then again, the most towering when it comes to primary performance, he went there again in 2014, 94%, and went to the national elections. And we know what happened in 2016 when John Mahama lost historical margin and he won power. But then come the man who I've just spoke about, who I say clearly, based on the history and everything else, his own, the fact that he's been associated with the ballot, the paper himself, and the fact that he himself had gone, he was his front runner. He, when he first stood, was 61%. In the scheme of things, he's not done badly, right? I mean, he's probably the fourth highest performing at the primaries in their history since 1992. So not doing badly at all. But there's a man who was giving him a stiff competition in the person of Kennedy Japan. That his first showing, considering his background and everything I've said about the fact that he's been there, his name is well sold, the party's marketed him heavily in all these 5 elections, to come to the primary where he's standing by himself and you have Kennedy Japan give him that close run, not a close run, but do really, really reasonably well, respectable margin of 37%, that obviously would have rung a bell. And that is why many think he will be the closest contender to him in the race. The rest, pretenders maybe, or just making a case for next time. We'll see. Resources can play a role here. Who has the money, who has the resources, may play a role in this, but it's an interesting conversation to have tonight. We'll talk to those in Parliament who know the candidates very well. This is about the MPP and its future. But these are the individuals who may be casting their ballot on 31st January next year. Time is very, very close. The National Council, regional constituency, current, past national officers, MPs, ministers, and that is why the MPs, the point about the MPs was very important when they went to meet Dr. Bawumia, and that's why we are talking about them, because they are delegates, and already they are showing their hands and where they're going to be voting. Very interesting indeed, but this is to be expected. This is politics, partisan politics, internal, external. You have TEXCOM members, Council of Elders, you have founding members, you have electoral coordinators, all of them forming part of the Electoral College. But this is the picture, the big picture that they must keep their minds on, even as they fight internally for who leads the party. Because the NPP is on the wane. The NPP is on the wane. If you really draw the graph here, they really climbed to their peak in the 2016 elections, and they have been on a decline ever since. You just have to look this side of the graph here, right? They've been on a decline ever since. They haven't recovered. They declined significantly from 53% to 51% in the 2020 elections, and even more devastating in the just ended election. A further decline. So they are on the trajectory to the bottom, right? They need to recover somehow. And that is why the fight has to go and end very quickly. And there's a logic, there's some thinking, there's some refreshing thinking in what they've decided to do now. Close ranks, elect the presidential candidate very quickly, so we can focus on trying to arrest this particular trend, right? And it makes sense. I'll ask the party executive who, when he joins me, and the MPs if they agree with this. Because if you look at this, you can't be fighting for 2 years before you elect a presidential candidate. You need to go here and try and deal with the big picture. And you start dealing with the big picture once you settle on who is leading you in the next election. But this is a trend that they must be looking at to try and fix. This is the MPP's biggest problem. How they recover from here to win elections will be a miracle. They need that, right? And whoever they put up must do a miracle indeed. And then you have, as you see here, those before this particular context, and how many times they've lost in the national elections before they won. J. Kufuor obviously won, Akufo-Addo 2. What does that mean? Will the next guy lose a third time or just 2? It's fascinating. It's just the NPP's history. I'm just showing you. It's a fact of their history that they need to deal with. Okay, but let's go to Parliament and let's ask the parliamentarians, those who are already taking sides. This is understandable. Everybody will have a choice in the race. Even the party's National Executive Committee members, General Secretary, the Deputy General Secretary, they all vote in this particular matter because they do have their preferences. So nobody's neutral in the matter. It's a case of can you state this publicly? And some of them have gone ahead and said this publicly. We'll talk about the NPP. We'll talk about its future. We'll talk about the race to lead it. And we'll talk about how to focus on the big picture. The big picture. When we sit down for a conversation, stay with me. And thanks for staying with us here on PM Express. And my guests are seated with me. It's always brought to you by Syntex Tanks and also by Academic Times, Pepsodent Cavity Fighter toothpaste also. My guest joining me in the studio is the Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed, and I'm grateful that he could join us because the party has issued a statement tonight, and we'll start with that. And I see that Justin Frimpong Kodia himself who signed that particular statement, and we'll look at that. And Dr. Stephen Amwa is also with me in the studio. He is the MP for Nchaiso in Parliament, and he is a staunch believer in the cause of Canada Japan, right? And he's in the studio with me tonight. Also joining me is Sami Uku. He was on the show very recently, MP for Mekrapim North. You know him. He's a stall to the party, and he believes that in the cause of the former Vice President, Dr. Bawumia. The man, I say, he has a towering advantage over the rest because he's the most marketed politician of our time. That is, if you take away, for example, the current president, nobody else comes close. He's on the ticket or close to it since 2008, 5 elections. So he has something coming into this particular contest in the party. Andy Appiah-Kubi will join me. He's a former member of parliament, Asante Akim North. And he was today with his man, Brian Champon, when he visited the church, and he was prayed for and sent on his way to campaign. So fascinating times indeed within the NPP. But I will start with you, Haruna. Haruna, you issued a statement today. Your boss issued a statement today. And there were 3 main points. And for those who are just joining us, I want to quickly summarize quickly. The first point of the statement says that the party has invited all personalities who have so far publicly declared their intentions to contest in the forthcoming NPP primary that's slated for the 31st of January next year to join a meeting with the steering committee of the party and the National Council of Elders. And the meeting will among other things, discuss matters of mutual interest. And this will be just this Saturday. And then there's also the referral of Kwame Bafo, that is alias Abronya, to the party's disciplinary committee for breaching the directives of the National Council and cautioning him to refrain from making unguarded public comments. And then the one that applies to this conversation directly, I'll ask him about the point 1, but I want to start with the point 3, directing the immediate cessation of all caucuses or associations of present and former party executives, government appointees, holding meetings with presidential aspirants in breach of party regulations. Can you explain that last point?
Thank you very much, Evans. I will say good evening to our cherished viewers and good evening to my seniors. Excuse me to single out Samuel Oku, who has contributed immensely to my political growth. He has mentored me right from the National Youth Wing to where I am today. Senior, thank you very much, Honorable Samuel.
Welcome, General.
Yes, the General Secretary has issued a statement today, and the statement was issued after a very intense steering committee meeting. They had a steering committee meeting where very serious matters of the party were discussed. After the steering committee meeting, this statement was issued under the hand of the General Secretary. The first point was calling on potential aspirants, persons who have publicly declared their intentions to contest in the upcoming primaries. That has been slated for the 31st of January 2026, and also to meet with them, have a very thorough discussion with the steering committee as well with the National Council of Elders. And the third point of which you've asked is on the cessation of caucuses and also meeting of potential aspirants by way of either current executives or former executives. I believe that you will recall that there were code of conduct that were issued by the party with respect to the conduct of these political activities leading to either of any of the national elections or the presidential primaries. So these code of conducts were issued. You will also recall that there are several commentaries that have been made in the public domain, of which the party leadership have had the cause to invite some behind the scene to speak, because submitting them to punitive measures necessarily also will have to take a certain direction, and caution is also part of that. Because of the democratic nature of our party, we believe that we must be able to move along and get everybody on board to ensure that there is a unifying factor to get the party to victory back in 2028. So there have been discussions, and that is why the first meeting is being called.
So as of tonight, what you're saying is that the aspiring presidential hopefuls cannot meet any of your party structures, former or present executives. They can't meet anybody.
The nature of the meeting, that is, if the people have been invited for them to discuss the presidential primaries, like it has taken the form of meeting former
MMDCs,
and all those things, and also constituency chairman, caucuses and all that. I believe that when my boss went there, he threw a caution to them, and in this particular statement, the steering committee did not mince words. We don't want those particular caucuses because it's not part of the structure of the party. We want to make sure that we stay true to the structures of the party so that the party can properly function in their own proper structures rather than fractures. So that is why this call has been made to the rank and file of the party.
I mean, is this a perpetual ban, if you like, on caucuses?
Yes, for that, it is not something that is admitted within the party. You have secretaries caucus, you have assistant secretaries caucus, you have organizers caucus, you have... No, in the party, we have special organs. If the special organ is meeting, we have the National Youth Wing, we have the NASARA, we have the women. These are established organs known by the party. Then if there is that need for the party structures to meet, you can have a constituency executive committee meeting, you can have an extended constituency executive committee meeting, a regional executive committee meeting, national executive committee meeting, national council, an extended or any other meeting that the constituency executive or the regional executive or the national executive committee deems fit to be conducted within the structures of the party. We want to make sure that there is that cohesion, there is that unifying factor, there is that togetherness, so that divisions cannot come in to be able to underpin or divide the roles of party leaders or party executives.
But I find it fascinating, though. You say that any caucuses or associations, present and former, if that happens, it's a breach of party regulations. Which party regulation?
If you pick the party's constitution, Article 18 of the party's constitution, it gives the National Council, the National Executive Committee, the National Party to develop additional regulations. And I have made reference to one of the regulations that were the Code of Conduct, forms part of Article 18 of the party's constitution.
And the Code of Conduct said what exactly as it relates to this?
Publicly, and maybe attacking or impugning on the integrity of party members, going on radio to discuss party matters which relatively has to be discussed within the party structure. Also, publicly campaigning when nominations are not open, and also meeting of party executives. Because in this sense, until there is a conduct of elections, we don't call them delegates, we call them party officers. So those
what about former party officers?
Because former is put in because of the proposal that has been sent to conference for, by way of motion, for either ratification or rejection. So we need to put all of them together so that at least we can bring sanity within the party.
Okay. I mean, Dr. Sibinama, that is a fair directive, is it not?
I don't know. Seriously, I haven't had opportunity to be notified what he's saying. So honestly, I don't want to make comments on issues that I'm not highly previewed. I mean, that wouldn't be fair. So that's my position.
But the fundamental principle is that because you have an open nominations, every meeting that with intention of campaigning is right now banned. You can't do it.
I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about. I really...
he's explained it quite eloquently.
Actually, I wasn't listening. I'm not lying to you.
Why were you not listening?
It wasn't intentional. My mind wasn't there. You know,
well, I'm just curious, what were you thinking about? Because this is party matter, very important matter.
You know, yeah, it's very, very, very important. They have the prerogative in terms of internal policies and controls. So if they come out with anything, who am I? Maybe the only concern I have is that we are all aware that if we are going to have very early elections, you have to tour the whole nation. So sometimes you need to also find out whether realistically aspirants can tour the whole country within even 6 months. It's not possible. So That's what I'm saying. I really don't have details of what you're talking about, but if there's any concern, they should make sure that they make enough provision for aspirants and their teams to have enough time to campaign. I think that would be very fair. But aside that, I don't have anything against whatever decision they take. We put them there. The decision they will take bind all of us, and we all have to comply. I mean, that's the essence of internal democracy. The only thing is that we need to be very careful. We don't do things to kind of create some sort of inequality or even burden the aspirants too much, all of them. I mean, for you to go to all the 16 regions and the constituencies and the polling stations, even 6 months to me is not enough. But of course, I mean, that's my view. But I really don't know. I'm here to read what they are putting in place. That's all. That's what I can say.
I mean, some of you've been a party executive before at a very, very senior level in the party. You should understand this. Is what you'd have done if you were there.
Well, good evening, Evans, and good evening to your cherished viewers. I'm not too sure I really understood the topic for today. When you said NPP Flagbearer Contest, the parliamentary battle lines. I'm not too sure what you mean by parliamentary battle lines. Because myself and my brother here, we still remain members of parliament, together with our other colleagues in the same party. And I wouldn't dwell much on the statement issued by the party because they are tasked with managing the party, its internal democracy and the structures and the rules and regulations. The only thing I'll just add on briefly is that I side with Dr. Stephen Amoah that let's also give these aspirants enough time. That notwithstanding, it doesn't mean that it should be something that is not regulated. It should be, but clearly we need to give them some time to engage the delegate. But Evans, I think it's most unfair, your topic at this time. And permit me to also register it on your platform. In all fairness, because we're a Democrat. At a time that you have many Ghanaians with this government under the cover of goodwill, they have increased our tariffs, electricity, by over 14%. But this government increasing our tariff when it comes to water. Today, a bag of cement, which was 83 cedis end of December, is now selling in excess of 130 cedis. The Galamsey menace, we are now facing it head-on. Over 30,000 young people have had their appointments terminated. And we want to spend the whole time to discuss NPP presidential primaries, which is like 6-7 months away. Evans, that's unfair. Unless you're not feeling the pain at the point.
I smile.
No, not that
I
you
smile because
I want to register that we believe that NPP is not taking the taxes of Ghanaians. Those taking the taxes of the Ghanaian people are those in government. And it's important that the media, also being the fourth estate of the realm, must hold this government accountable.
Well, I smile because...
Which is not being done.
I smile because... I smile because the man you support in Dr. Bawumia met MMDCEs who held a press conference who said they support him. In fact, they told us that they had met another aspirant, and the aspirant lied to us. He didn't back him.
No problem.
I'm coming.
No, I'm listening to you.
He was campaigning, forcing your party to issue a statement that those meetings you can't hold. The man sitting beside you. He was with his candidate in Ashanti reading, meeting Tescom and others. You started the campaign. You are on this show saying it's too early, but you are campaigning. Your man is campaigning. You're supporting him.
First of all,
you have started the campaign.
Before you come in, let me address Evan's concerns. The people you have mentioned, Dr. Bawumia, the Honorable Kennedy Ejapon, the Honorable Dr. Brian Echampon, are not recipients of the people's taxes. In fact, as we speak today, the government we have voted for, that the people elected in office, have terminated in excess of 30,000 young people's appointment. And you are not privy to that. When has that been a topic for PMS for us to discuss?
Why is that not?
Yes.
Your candidates objected.
No. Because all these candidates are speaking about it, but that never crosses you.
Why was that?
Because Joy FM Multimedia don't find a topic out.
Why was
none of your colleagues have lost a job.
Why was that not Bawumia's focus?
In fact,
in the last 48 hours,
Dr. Bamia has spoken about it. Honorable Kennedy Japon has spoken about it. Brian and all the team, look, they are standing in the gap for these young people. But those who are supposed to also checkmate the system, the fourth estate of the realm, it's not a slogan. You are supposed to hold government accountable for its actions and inactions. 30,000 cleansing? My goodness. And you find that to be comfortable for us to discuss?
Are you, do you accept,
and I know, Evans, you can do better
do you accept the
tag? Have
you
been affected by any of these?
Do you accept the tag of being a government in waiting?
Oh, of course we do.
If you're a government...
The minority, we are making the case on the floor.
If you are a government in waiting...
Yes.
I am not a government in waiting. Okay. I'm a journalist. You are a government in waiting.
What's the role of the media?
And yet, your man who was on your ticket, instead of doing the things you say we should do,
he has spoken about
he is campaigning.
Thank you, Todd, he has spoken about
is he,
As for
is he campaigning or not?
For political parties and its internal campaigns, it's not going to stop. It's a cycle.
Is he campaigning?
I'm saying it's a cycle.
Or not?
But then for a flagship program that we have today, I believe that we should be holding this government accountable.
Well, is he campaigning or not?
I'm saying that, look, even police station executives are campaigning, so that is neither here nor there.
So the party...
A government has been elected.
You, the party...
Let us hold this government's leg to the fire.
That's
the critical question
that is your job.
Yes.
Not my job.
That is what we expect the media to amplifying the voice of the Ghanaians.
You say yes to that.
30,000 people sacked from the public sector.
You say
and
yes.
It's not a worry.
You say
it doesn't
yes.
raise a whisker within this bigger family of multimedia.
To the fact that it is your job.
Yes.
And yet you are distracted.
How
by holding meetings with the man who wants to be president.
Conferences on it. The party, the minority, these what do you call presidential aspirants, because they haven't open nominations anyway. Yes. So you've asked us to come discuss even people who have not even picked nominations.
If that's you've decided to do.
What they are doing is what we call, they are testing the waters and knocking on doors.
But
they haven't opened, they cannot tell me today that you've had Dr. Stephen Amoah and Samia Uku or Haruna picking nomination. None. So what are we to discuss? Well, in fact, all we are talking about, it may end up when nominations are open, it may even end up that some people will not pick.
So am I going to see you are in Parliament? Are you in Parliament?
But that is not
it's not in that.
It's not in that.
Have you I'm coming to a question.
Yeah.
In the last 48 hours,
yes.
Have you stood on the floor of Parliament to raise any of those substantive matters that you so feel passionate about?
Yes.
That you want the media to do?
Even today. The minority spoke about over 100 young people on behalf of Ghana who have been sacked.
No, I'm talking about you, Sami Uku. On behalf of the people you represent,
yes.
Have you stood on the floor and asked a fundamental question on your behalf, on the matters you want the media to champion on your behalf?
First of all...
No, you have to answer the question.
So let me answer. Parliament, with the greatest of respect, when you have your colleague raising the same matter, it presupposes that matter has been raised on the floor of Parliament.
And it represents
the view
of the caucus.
Yeah. So that is how it works.
I'm asking a question.
I have granted interviews to that effect.
I'm talking about your parliamentary responsibility. You raise a host of issues. And I'm saying on the host of issues you've raised, as a member of Parliament, that you voted to go to Parliament. Which one?
I have.
Which one?
In fact, even when we were even discussing the budget and the consideration of the budget.
That was the budget.
But that time the people were being sacked.
A lot has happened.
I'm telling you that, Evans, if this cannot take our conscience as a nation to defend these young people, their right to work.
I have let me finish some logic question.
I find it.
I'll come to add. Not add. I need to ask something one more question.
Yes.
Because you see, you say media, but I'm saying to you, we voted for you. We've given you power. I'm talking about you.
Yes.
You as an individual, because you raised the matter. The government was elected, but you also elected.
Yes, I was.
To Parliament.
Yes.
And we give you all the power to do on our behalf.
That's right.
The things that you're asking the media to do. And I'm saying things that happen. You, Samir, with that power I gave you.
I have spoken
what have
about
you done on the floor?
What I am saying is that
I'm not so much speaking about
the minority.
If you felt so passionate about the things you want me to do,
they have raised these matters on the floor of Parliament by leadership, by members. We've had press conferences on it.
Yeah.
All we are asking for is that, for God's sake, let us also be on the side of these young Ghanaians who are being punished on the altar of political
And you're addressing this too?
And that is what I'm saying.
You're addressing
and
this
I'm
too?
addressing it through the medium.
Okay.
And I'm using this
to the
medium
media.
to communicate
But
with the government
I'm saying
and the
that
people.
Take
That's
your,
exactly
take your
what I'm
own
saying.
advice. That I
So
want
I
to
should-
see you.
I
I want to see you being more vociferous on the floor.
We have been vociferous
No,
on this
you.
matter.
That's because I am
Well,
more powerful.
I have raised it a couple of times.
Let me. I can break it down.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
I have been in Parliament
Yes.
on 2 occasions, and when the people were being sacked, Honorable Samuel Oku raised a question. It was.
But if somebody who is here, why is
Yes, no, but I am.
because
There are several people.
I'm the man is
We have
sitting here.
discussed it.
I'm asking
Dr.
the person,
Samuel, even though
you-
in budget
you are a
subsequently-
spokesperson for Samuel
Evans,
Wuku.
do you have
I'm
prepared...
part and parcel of it.
No, but you're
I'm part and parcel of it.
because he...
I have gone
Is this program
to
being put
Parliament.
together for us to come tear ourselves
even-
here?
no.
So let us also discuss issues that affect the nation.
I'm just following.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just following the
That's what I'm
logical
saying.
sequence of the arguments you're making. That if really your argument is that we should be talking about the government and what they're doing, then I want to see Samuel Wuku doing far more because he's a member of parliament.
Done so because
I mean, yes, you.
It was a topical issue,
Yeah.
and my friend Nuruddin, Honorable Nuruddin for Nalerga Gambago, was going to file a question on that. When the question was sent, Honorable Samuel Oku had already filed a question on that. On the floor of Parliament, he read that particular question on the floor of Parliament relating to the dismissal of these people. So if he's raising it, I think that is very legitimate.
I'm very surprised.
And again,
you are elected to be Samuel Wuku's spokesperson. Let me
at least amplify the voice of the minority, the many Ghanaians who are
and just by
That's
the
what
way,
I'm saying. It doesn't mean we won't
I want to
discuss
come.
it.
I'll come back to the issues that we take table, and I'll come to you. You know, you have more time. I'll come to you. But just by the way, Samuel Wuku knows that as for this medium, all we talk about is the national issues. But you have made it. You put this out there for us to talk about yourself. You issue a statement.
No,
we talk about. I'm coming. Usually, where media is. I have 3 days in a week. When you issue a statement, I'll talk about it.
That's
when his candidate decide to campaign, I'll talk about it. When his candidate decide to campaign, I'll talk about it.
But Evans,
let's
because you asked me a question on our statement.
Yeah, I'll come
that is
back.
why I proceeded to answer.
However,
I was going to raise a preliminary issues with the caption that has been put before.
No, he's raised it already.
Yeah, so,
let me hear sticker. Let me hear
You
sticker.
don't want repetition.
No, but he's raised it.
You don't want repetition.
Yeah, of course.
But on the floor of Parliament, I want you to 20 people to be
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah, but let me hear sticker. Sticker, you wanted to make an intervention.
Evans, honestly speaking, the only way this country can be built is when relevant stakeholders begin to appreciate the fact that it is time we put an end to a whole lot of omissions and commissions, actions and inactions and behaviors and mispriorities that have been very dysfunctional over the years. I am very surprised that what Sami is saying, you're not really taking it to the point that you realize that, I think probably if multimedia, which seems to be number one in Ghana here.
No, we are number one.
In terms of course, I'm choosing my words carefully.
I know
you are, definitely, particularly you. We all want Ghana to be where we want it to be. That is why we are sitting here tonight. And our constitutional mandate is being undermined as a country. Fundamental human rights are being undermined as a country. The Labor Law, Act 2003, Act 651, and if you read Chapter 5 of our 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, where in terms of, Ghanaians, citizens as individuals and groups enjoying their rights are being undermined to the extent that I can tell you that there's a gentleman in my constituency having a very fresh baby as a second born. Mm-hmm. If I had not talked to these gentlemen very well, the guy was going to commit suicide. He's been sacked unlawfully. There's somebody who has worked for 18 years. He's been sacked. Bank of Ghana. Can you imagine? Over 100 of them. Evans, put all jokes aside. This is a serious issue. If there should be any reason, there should be, is it state of emergency or whatever, I think this is the time. That Ghanaians, whose parents, some of them, had to borrow money to pay their school fees through tertiary institutions, through no fault of theirs. The laws of Ghana now are not being respected.
No, so I hear you.
So what he's saying is, I'm coming. Let me.
I hear you, but
what we are trying. No,
I have to probe.
I know, but I'm coming. What we are trying to say is that we are not by any means saying that your questions and issues you are raising are not important. But what we are saying is that in terms of priority, in terms of, in fact, we are even, we've had 6 months of this new government.
Because
there should be a review.
Because you've raised a very legitimate point, but it circles back to the reason why I invited you to the conversation. Let me ask you that. So you know all that.
Ask me.
Yes, I'm asking you that. You know all what you're saying is very important. And yeah, in the last few days, you've been very active on the ground with Kennedy Japan, campaigning. Have you not?
Where?
I've seen, yes. Have you not been with Kennedy Japan?
No, if you say campaign, we are not actually campaign. We are invited.
To?
I'm a student.
To do what?
Speak on entrepreneurship.
To speak on entrepreneurship?
Check.
Because he has no presidential ambition.
Oh, Evans, why are you taking it to?
No, it's a question.
Evans, the issues we are raising, are they important?
No, I'm asking a question.
I'm asking, are they important?
No, you see, thankfully,
Evans, I
ask the question.
But it doesn't mean you can also bully us. No, because no, you should allow. This,
I'm not
Evans,
bullying.
can I ask you one question?
But no, you can't.
When have you done the review of this government?
So no, I asked you a question.
No, when have you done the review? 6 months down the line.
Dr. Stephen Amwa.
6 months.
Dr. Stephen Amwa.
Even not a person has been sent to the road
fund. So you know that.
You don't know what is happening.
You know that.
First time, we've been talking about it, but you guys are not interested.
I'm asking a fundamental
question. No, you
question.
are not interested.
Why?
You are not interested.
In the last few days, you've been very active with Kennedy Japan on the ground. Are you running away from the fact that you support him?
Where is he going?
You do, right? You support the man.
This is a truism.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, everybody knows.
So, but I'm asking a question about what you've been doing on the ground with him, and you don't want to answer that question.
Well, I told you we spoke on entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Tell me you didn't hear.
You spoke on entrepreneurship.
Probably there's an issue with your management.
Yeah, so you spoke on entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And you say that wasn't because you support his ambition to be president.
It's not because I support.
Yes. You went to that meeting.
No, we're invited to speak. Let me get this clear. To speak on entrepreneurship. So if you go to somebody's institution and the person asks you, speak on this, you cannot go and change.
So this was a test call, I believe.
Don't divert it. What we are saying
was it test call?
Critically, we are supposed to speak on these serious national issues.
No, but you can't run away from something.
No, the constitution of the land. Don't try to be smart. No, stop that. I mean, the constitution of the land. So we should be law-abiding.
Yes.
The government of the day was voted for because of our democracy, because of our constitution, because of our laws. The very constitution that has conferred on them the power they have. They are abusing it. They are not actually allowing Ghanaians to enjoy the equitability that we need. That right of an ordinary Ghanaian.
So you're talking about
also
this
not be
current government
based on special group and other things.
You're talking about
this is what is happening.
You're talking about
and
this.
I think I'm surprised. You know that what we are talking about is very important.
You're talking about
are you aware that Ghanaians have been sacked? Are you aware that Ghanaians have been sacked? Are you aware of that?
We are talking about this
current government. Are you aware
government.
that even just a few days ago, over 100 Ghanaians, young ones, through no fault of theirs.
Question to you.
Please.
So you know what you're saying. I just Googled Sivinama Kennedy Japan. And you say what you're saying now are the key things that are important to you.
What?
The first, the first 5 stories. A second. The first 5 stories.
You are being mischievous.
Is propaganda.
No, you are being mischievous.
Kennedy Japan will win.
Mischievous.
Second story.
You are being mischievous.
In the last one day.
You know that.
No, I'm asking
you know you are being mischievous.
No, I'm not. I'm putting you facts. Your own words.
So, Rana, if I go to church and they bring a topic, I should forget about it.
Will lead NPP in 2028. Keep your campaign away. Kennedy Japan is the Joshua to take us to the promised land. 4 stories, first five set results. I'm coming.
Oh, please.
The things
can I ask you, what we are talking about, is it important or not? No, what we are talking about is it important to this country?
Listen to my question.
Important to this country?
Listen to my question.
This issue about sacking Ghanaians, we've raised these issues on the floor.
If you ask me,
raised this issue
if you allow
in the
me to ask the
public
question,
domain.
you understand
but you
my
should
point.
at least meet us halfway. You are rubbishing the important thing that we are talking about.
Pay attention to my question.
No.
If you don't mind.
No,
so,
don't do that.
So you say
don't do that.
I'm actually trying to appreciate your argument. So you said to me that what you are just saying is very important, right? And that journalists and media should take what you're saying, that we should focus on that, right?
At least I've said it now.
Good.
I've said it now.
And yet.
No, I've said it now.
Yeah, so
I've said it now.
Yeah,
I said it last week.
And yet,
I said it even during the time we're reading the budget.
And yet.
I mean, I've been talking about it.
I know
Sammy has been talking about it.
I know your man who believes in facts.
Of course, but what are we saying?
Listen to a few facts.
What we are saying, are there no facts?
Listen to a few facts.
No, first thing, what we are saying, are there no facts?
Your action
why can't you
will
accept?
show what is important to you.
No, why can't you accept?
In the last 5 days.
You know,
the 5 top stories related to you is about campaigning.
Because that's what you choose to publish.
Because that is what is important to you.
Just like we are doing now. What you are doing now. The media,
so you have
practitioners,
shown
you have
what
your
is
priorities, you have your precedents, you have what you want to give attention. Anything about this government, half a year, you don't want to do any review. Poor Ghanaians are dying because they've been sacked from their homes.
By you, the man,
young ladies may be exposed to all forms of risk because they are sacked.
The people in the country have voted for you.
Yes, and that is why I'm fighting for them here.
Your focus is campaign.
No, your focus is to publish what you want. Because we've been talking about
what you say.
It's your priority.
And what you do.
It's your priority.
That's editorial discretion.
No, it's not. It is what you do. I'll come to it. I think he had the point.
But I think, before my brother comes.
Yes, I'm listening.
Evans, let us understand the fact that, especially you, Sammy, and my brother, and myself.
Yes.
Relatively, we have the energies to build this country. We are not saying what you are saying is rubbish. But we are talking about a serious issue that poor Ghanaian child who has completed school.
Take your own advice then. I'm saying
No. At least let me make my point. No, when I finish.
You cannot choose.
No, when I finish.
To come on my show.
You chose a topic you wanted.
Because
you can sort us on that topic. It's your priority.
No, but when we invited you, we told you. Let me address it.
Give us an opportunity.
Let me address this point.
You know today, before Haruna comes to the dog, just a second.
Let me address. I'll come to you.
If you go to insure your vehicle, you are paying additional 15%.
Are you aware of that?
Unfortunately, that is not.
Are you aware of that?
No, but are you aware of that? It doesn't tickle you.
No.
It doesn't worry you.
That is your job in Parliament.
30,000 people have been sacked from
That is your job in Parliament. That is your job in Parliament.
As a media practitioner.
Is to
focus on NPP.
It's to report what you do.
But that is one thing we are giving for us to showcase.
What have you done in Parliament about what you just said?
Oh, we've been talking about it.
Have you been following?
I always have to come back to that.
Parliament?
You don't follow.
No, you just talk about DVLA.
As a caucus.
You talk about DVLA. What have you done about it, Sammy?
Evans, so wait, is the media supposed to sit down, set an agenda that will suit themselves, put the nation's development...
What is your agenda? What is your personal agenda?
My agenda is to raise the critical issues.
What have we done in Parliament?
We're raising it on this forum, we raise it in Parliament,
why are you hiding
believe
under the minority?
Of the people.
It's the voice of God.
Yes,
that is what we're doing. But Evans, I find it tragic today that you believe that instead of talking about people who have lost their jobs, we should talk about primaries that we are yet to open nominations.
Between now and the time that he will open nominations.
Yes.
You're telling me today, and then listeners, that I'm going to see.
Because none of these aspirants are collecting taxes from the Ghanaian people. None of them are supported the letter to dismiss
Listen to my question. None
of these aspirants is responsible for putting money in the road fund.
My question.
None of these aspirants should be responsible for ending the galamsey as aspirants.
You don't have the same luxury, unfortunately. Let me just break it to you, because you are a member of Parliament.
Yes.
And I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
We don't give taxes, but I pay taxes.
You pay my taxes. You didn't pay me.
Exactly. So I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking. That's I'm not focusing on them. I'm focusing on you. And I'm saying that. I'm coming back to my question.
We've raised these matters over and over again.
No,
All we
I'm
asking for is Evans and the platform of PM Express to amplify the voice.
And here's my question to you.
Of the minority.
And I'll come back to that question to you. The we are not before me today, but some it will put before you today. And I'm saying to you, you're saying to me, can I ask my question?
Multiple times.
No, but this is a more fundamental question. I want to get a commitment from you because of your posture and your logic on this. That between now,
when we do it, then you Google.
Time,
and so Stephen Amo have the top 4.
Because I need to present him with the evidence of what he's focusing on.
But you choose to publish what you want.
No.
Today's show,
my question.
After today's show, you will decide what should be news.
Yes.
It's not us.
And then let me ask you a more fundamental question, a very fair one.
Yes.
So because you have said tonight that the country's focus should be on the big issues of concern to ordinary people.
Exactly.
And I'm saying to you, I'm asking a simple question.
When the NPP elects his flag bearer, then up to the flag bearer
you actually laying my foundation for my question. So my question, now having said that, between now and the time that he will open nominations, I will not see and hear some Ewuku campaigning or going to meetings that now he says is our Lord, that promotes your candidate's agenda of becoming president. That you in Parliament will be focused on the big national issues, and I'll hear you make them as your focus.
So do you want me to comment on that?
Yeah, that's my question to you. That is the exclusive thing we'll see you do, because you have been elected. They're not going to see you campaigning on internal political issues. That is going to be a big national issue.
What we are saying is that as a political party, the cycle of electoral system in the NPP, in the NDC, in the CPP, after every general election, the party goes through, be it there's a committee to even investigate the causes that led to his defeat, whatsoever afterwards, there are recommendations, there are amendment, elections. That's the internal political party system. That's how it runs. But that does not stop you from discussing issues of national importance.
Are you talking about yourself?
Yes.
I'm talking about yourself. It doesn't stop Samuel.
It doesn't stop me from also discussing issues that affects my people. The people elected me to represent them. Now I'm telling you that I've had hundreds of my people being dismissed. Hundreds of them being dismissed. So if you are telling me that because you have seen me at least in caucusing or with a particular candidate, that doesn't mean that I haven't been raising national issues. On your own platform, here, PM Express. The last time I was here, in fact, in your introduction, you said I was here recently. What were the issues I raised when the government spokesperson was here? I raised the issues of electricity.
So that is a confirmation.
I raised the issue of water.
So that is a confirmation.
Yes, you've got it. What are you seeing there? No, you have checked. What are you seeing there?
No, but the point you just made there is confirmation that indeed we focus on the big issue.
I'm saying that I raised it.
But you haven't answered my question.
That wasn't your topic for that day. I'm telling you, I raised it. That wasn't your topic.
But
today
what was the topic?
You've got another topic: parliamentary battle lines drawn. There are no parliamentary battle lines.
But you haven't answered my question. My question to you is
that I'm not going to be seen with a candidate or what kind of
listen to my question. That between now and then, Sami will be focusing on the same issues that you believe the media should be, and that we will be seeing more of you on the floor in the name of the people you represent. Wait. I want that commitment. I want to hear him.
Let multimedia, Joy FM, also meet me by the Chamber of Parliament to reinforce what I'm telling you today.
Okay, so what's going to happen tomorrow? You say tomorrow.
I'm telling you that.
We should be meeting by the chamber. I want to hear.
Apart from speaking on the floor, which I will.
Okay.
And it's not just for tomorrow. Anytime you catch the eye of the speaker or you raise issues that demands attention, definitely, I'm telling you that on the sidelines, you always have your media people around scooping and nosing for news and all that. Any moment that I get, because my heart bleeds.
You want us to come and look for you?
Oh, they are there already. They don't need to come look for me. You have your people there already.
But we don't have to do that, Sami.
But the media, they are there.
No, but I'm saying to you, no.
But it's the media that goes for
no.
So
how do you get
supposed to go for
you have tools within your power.
We do use it. Yes. Don't stretch this man.
My simple question to you is, will you be activating those legislative tools?
And
no, not we. You. Will you?
The minority have even raised this.
No, I'm not talking about minority. I'm talking about you, Sami. You are making the argument. I'm saying, will I see you?
I'm not alone in this.
No, Sami.
Myself, Dr. Amoa, the minority caucus,
but I'm asking
the minority
you.
leader, the leader. Yes, I said myself. I started.
Will you?
I said myself.
Would I see more?
Of course, you are going
urgent
to do that.
questions.
Of course, you are going to
statements.
do that. Of course, you're going to do that.
You, like you. Say we.
Last week, I made a statement
on
that touches on the issues of even disability, deaf education, getting them more resources to at least enhance teaching and learning there. Because you have these deaf students crossing streets, and not aided. They are teachers.
I also did on entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
I'll come
so
to that.
I've been focusing on also on that as well. Issues of disability and how we can support the vulnerable in society. We are not just dumb people sitting there. But all I'm saying is, please also pay your dues by supporting, amplify the voices of the vulnerable. These 30,000 plus young people, they've lost their livelihood.
Serious issue.
Food taken off their table.
So you made a statement
when there's a new government, yes, when there's a new government, it doesn't mean that at least the employment of a young person should be coterminous with that of an administration. That would be setting a bad precedent. You kept quiet. Look, before I complete and conclude, first they came for the socialites. You said you were not a socialite. First, then they came for the liberals. You said you are not a liberal. Then they came for the Jews. You said you are not a Jew. Finally, they will come for you, and there will be nobody to defend you. We sat down as a nation, watched how a sitting chief justice was removed like a polling station executive. That is a scar on the conscience of this country. So what I'm saying is that, Evans, this platform, we can discuss NPP matters when you are ready. When the NPP
but we are discussing it now, and now that's the focus now, because this is obviously an important matter for you. No wonder Dr. Stephen Amwa is dominating the Google searches on internal campaiging. If you just search his name, everybody, I invite you to do so. Because you raised the matter also. We are pursuing a logic.
But you are not allowing us to speak.
We are pursuing a logic. Once you say the logic is important subject, then I must see that when I do a Google, I must see your important subject.
You are not even allowing us to speak.
I'll come back to you. Yes,
I think that I've said that because you had asked specific on a statement that I decided to speak and explain. First, I had a directive from the General Secretary when we saw the headline. You know, there was previous discussions on he appearing here to have explained certain matters or decisions of the party. And for us to see the headline, NPP Flagbearer Contest, the parliamentary battle line. So when we have a parliamentary battle line within our party, it means that we have open nominations for members of parliament or even orphan constituencies to pick nominations and contest for elections. So we saw that we cannot control your editorial policy. However, we can also speak to the headline or the topic that is put.
We are not speaking to the headline. The battle lines are the result of what happened in your party.
As I came and sat here, if we were to discuss...
You issued a statement. I want to read your statement to you.
Yeah, so...
I want to read your statement, your own statement to you.
And I've explained the statement.
Direct...
correspond with parliamentary battle.
No.
How does that...
So listen to the question.
There was one duty I was going to do.
Yes.
And the honorable members on this platform have done it for me.
Yeah,
because first, if they were to start to discuss the internal issues, I would have issued a stringent warning to them on this platform.
Yeah.
That was my first duty from the General Secretary. Because it is not time, based on the code of conduct that has been issued, they have been banned publicly to sit on platform to debate among ourselves or even against other persons in terms of contest in this particular manner. And that is why this statement has been issued to re-echo and reinforce those particular...
Because you want to rein them in. You issued it to rein them in.
Yeah, so in this state, for me...
Let me help you make let me help you make your case. Let me help you make your case. 5 days ago, Dr. Bawumia met over 60 NPP MPs, and they came out to say, "Oh, we support him," and then the others say, "Oh, it's not true," because there are others who also support the other candidate. Did you hear that?
I am saying.
No, I'm asking. I'm asking a simple question.
And that is why
it's a factual matter.
That is why we have issued this statement.
So you issued a statement not because. A very important point. You issued a statement not because of the title of my topic. You issued a statement because it is a fact that your members of parliament are divided on the lines of who they support in your party.
It's not about division. It's about the content and the platform on which that is being used. And for us, if you had called me, and I am here, to explain on these particular party decisions, I don't think that the honorable members...
No, I'm only raising because you started your answer by talking about the topic for discussion.
Yes, the topic was
and I'm saying that
was an issue for us.
It's not an issue because you issued a statement to say that they should cease associations and meetings.
But we did not
because you
that there is battle lines, because we did not draw any battle line.
No, you didn't. But your people in Parliament have. I'm saying to you, 5 days ago.
No,
5 days ago. Is it true? Are you aware of the 60 MPs who met Dr. Lamia?
They decided to express their opinion of where they belong.
Yes.
That does not amount
and
to a battle line.
Are you aware of the others who came out very publicly fighting, including a member of Parliament who was on our show, fighting that it's not true that the 60 of them supported him? Are you aware? In fact, you were one of our shows when they were going at each other. You were one of our shows.
That is why we.
That is division. Divided along the lines of loyalty to the aspirants.
That is why the party has issued a statement.
Yes, so exactly.
And for us
don't start answering the question by referring to my topic, because
for the topic, officially, the topic was a matter. Because we have not drawn a parliamentary battle line.
No, not you. You haven't. You are. Why would you draw a parliamentary battle line? But the people in Parliament
to come
have.
And sit down here.
Sticker is smiling. You know why he's smiling?
No, because we needed a.
So you can't start answering the question by referring to that. You are addressing a fundamental issue in your party.
No, and that is why I am also addressing a fundamental issue that is relative to the topic that
Evans, you have a problem discussing national issues.
Let me finish. There's something I need to ask you, by the way, more substantively.
Yes.
Still in your statement that addresses the issues in your party.
Yes.
You say you also asked the presidential candidates to come for a meeting on Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's the meeting going to be about?
Asking them to come for a meeting is to a statement. For you is to ask me. And what I'm
just asking for explanation.
So I've already explained that. I've already explained in my first answer to your yes. I've answered the 3 instances.
Yeah.
Right?
This meeting on Thursday. Meeting on Thursday.
Yes.
Is to meet them. I think you're also meeting the steering committee.
It's one of the preparatory stages to have all of them on board. If you check the social media today, the National Party has also organized behind the stage a certain meeting of all those who have expressed interest.
So you've met them already?
Which is a positive thing.
So you've met them already?
They have met themselves.
Okay.
They met among themselves. Joe Gatti was there. His Excellency, former Vice President, was there. Kennedy Ohina Japan was there. All those who have publicly declared. This is a positive thing that has happened. You saw their posture towards each other and all that. So we are doing something.
It happened today.
And issuing a statement again to call them to have an extensive discussions on that. I, as a party officer, can explain, but they, as honorable members, also have an interest by way of expressing their opinion of who they think that can or should be given the opportunity. Cannot be debating with the party officers when we have officially said that we should not be putting such on public platforms. Okay. So I believe. But
I'm interested in that meeting though, because it sounds like the way forward, really. That meeting was today.
Yeah.
That meeting was today. I don't know why but the man himself brought the matter up. Why are you asking him not to answer the question?
Evans,
no, he's not asking me. He wants to contribute. He wants to contribute to the matter, but he's not asking me.
I haven't said anything.
He's not asking me not to answer.
Of course. I'm saying that because Evans.
Yes, Sticker. Yes,
I think
yes.
Sometimes I cannot say the media practitioners in our country have not contributed to the building of this very good country, or our beloved country, Ghana. However, I think sometimes, some of you, do us a great deal of disservice. I'm saying this because you just open your phone and he said about 3 captions.
No, 4.
4.
In fact, I can go down
all
with this.
aligned
this
to
more.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
On campaigning, internal campaigns.
This is Crusading Guide. 20th June 2025. Less than 1 week. I had presented a statement on the inclusion of entrepreneurship in our academic curricula at the JHS, SHS levels because of the job space which is congested in our country. The fact that 106 to 109,000 tertiary students complete school annually are starting to be corrected. During the period, or in the period of graduation, only about 10% get job to do. It's a very big problem. And I did my research, came out with a proposal. It has been published, front pages, and here is the case. You are talking, no, you haven't talked about these things you are talking about. Sami, myself, other minority members, possibly even majority members who mean well for this country have raised issues, but it is your exclusive right or prerogative as a media practitioner, as editor, your own internal editorial policy to choose which ones. Even sometimes you change the captions. I'm not saying you, sorry. I'm not saying multimedia as a whole, but as a country, the media industry today, I think it has to be a huge theme.
Okay, I mean,
I'm coming. Let me finish.
Talking about
no, let me finish. No, when you are talking, we allow you. What you are doing here.
It's not about allowing me.
I thought you believe in democracy.
I'm the host of the show.
But let somebody finish.
I'm going to arrogate myself the speaker because all of you are members of parliament. No, but
when I'm saying the point that let me finish with my point.
The point is that you picked and chose.
Exactly. And you're not allowing me to
speak. When you say you mean the publishers.
You.
See.
I just googled his name.
You also Google.
I just googled his name.
You also see him making statements and also presenting.
Serious statements.
Back to the substantive.
But this is not substantive.
No, but
can I ask you one question? I beg you, let me ask you.
I'm not going to answer the question.
The issues that we are raising to you, these national issues, okay, as compared to what you wanted to discuss, which one is more substantive?
I told you I'm not answering the question.
You are not answering.
Because, you know, I think I spent a panel discussion. So I told you a panelist. But let me ask, before I come to Samuel.
You see, you are tired in this business. We expressed how long time ago you have been in this business.
What church do you attend?
What church do I attend?
Yes.
I can't answer that question.
Hey, I'm surprised that you're not perturbed. The way people are being sacked, young ones are crying. You don't even care.
You don't have any concern when you're You are safe. You're in good hands. Haruna, but there's a most fundamental question that I need to ask. The last time I spoke to you, I think yesterday on Top Story, on Newsline, you said you were concerned about the way the campaigning and people were acting. Let me ask my question, Sticker. Are we going to see? I'm asking the journalist.
But what I'm saying is, you are still going back to areas.
Let me ask my question.
No, we understand you, but what we're trying to say is,
Sticker.
Evans, what is the time?
Let me ask my question. Sticker. Let me ask my question.
You said Sticker, so I should answer.
Because I'm telling you, let me ask my question.
Okay, sure.
Haruna, on the back of this statement, are we going to see the party cracking the whip on those who have violated the code? Because this code existed even before this statement today. So if people have breached it, are we going to see sanctions?
We've issued a statement. We've also asked that we are going to have a meeting. I believe that it is too early in the day to decide that we are going to crack the code.
Why is it too early? You had a code, it has been breached.
Because we have just issued a statement.
But the statement didn't say you are asking people to stop. But people have already breached it before today.
The statement is not up to
apart from Abronye, who has been referred to.
It's not up to 24 hours. So I cannot, speak to whether...
The Deputy General Secretary.
Yeah,
the Deputy General Secretary.
Today. Yeah, on insurance by 50%. By 50%. But
You've been disrupted.
In addition to the DVLA issue.
You've been disrupted.
This is very serious.
He was answering a question. You're interrupting him. You
Evan,
were saying, are we going to see...
Our statement is not up to 24 hours. It's just less than 7 hours. So I cannot...
Can I come in?
I'll come. Because he's been disrupted. That's why I haven't come. No, I have to come to him. But I need him to land on the point he's making. Yeah.
No, I've landed. I said it's not up to even 7 hours now. So I cannot preempt whatever happens in the future.
But fundamentally, Haruna, this code you issued was issued weeks ago. And it came, you yourself have said at the beginning, that you had clear strictures on what will happen if you breach it. You admit it's been breached.
But
and yet you can't say what penalties.
The one that has been issued today.
Yeah.
So let's give it a time. I believe that the party leadership will speak on that.
The party leadership will consider what sanctions to give to those who breached it?
No, we've just issued a statement. It's just barely 7 hours.
Samuel.
Evans, so Maybe just by way of information, it hasn't been captured properly so far. Starting from the 1st of July, sadly, another 15% VAT has been imposed on non-life insurance premiums in Ghana. 15%. This is in addition to the 14% that we are also paying when it comes to electricity, and almost 6% when it comes to that of water in terms of increment. Again, if you go to the markets today, the prices of even staples, the prices of goods are not coming down.
No, they are even going up.
I just think that even though we have the opposition party, definitely as a media house, you need to take interest as what's happening internally. I will plead that for the sake of the Ghanaian people, let the media also focus on what is also affecting the generality of our people. Look, by the 31st of January, if the NPP elects as flag bearer, that flag bearer still will not be the recipient of people's taxes. And I am fortified in my belief that if we join forces with the media, we can hold government accountable to its promises. And it is sad that you had nurses going on strike for days, causing a near crisis in the health sector. And up to date, government has not even told us what they are doing to even prevent future strikes in that health sector. And I believe these are things that should engage the minds of our people. Today, the minority, even interestingly, and we had a press conference on the business house. Yes, so it's not that we are not raising issues. Secondly, we also had a whole session in the double standards of the NDC when it comes to the appointment of justices to the Supreme Court. And so these are matters that keep coming up. And we have been vociferous on these matters. Our strength cannot carry us to that point that we want to. That's why we need the fourth estate of the realm. You are supposed to be non-partisan. Your impartiality should also be manifest in the issues that we also discuss in the supreme interest of the public. So that is that passionate appeal.
Let's wrap up by also telling
let me give you just
very briefly before we end, and I'll end with you, by the way.
Hey, so media, I'm not going to speak.
I'll come to you before I end.
But Andy is on the line.
For you to satisfy your topic.
Andy is on the line. Okay.
We don't have it. Just for you to satisfy your topic for the day. What I can assure you is that I know that the commitment of Dr. Baumia and his team, Honorable Kennedy Ejapon and his team, Dr. Brian Echampon and his team, that of Dr. Yao Educhum, and even those who are yet to even declare their intentions, they know that without the NPP vehicle, they cannot get anywhere. So that's for our own internal matters. I can assure you that the spirit of the NPP will even prevent anybody who is determined to even destroy it. So you have the commitment of these gentlemen. So don't let them be your focus. Let's tackle the government head on.
Fortunately, we only decide what we focus on.
Another task coming, 1st July.
We only decide what we focus on.
You decide what you focus on.
Yeah, so we'll make that decision.
To be fair to the Ghanaian people. In the topics
you are taking stickers time, actually. So sticker, yes.
It doesn't matter, we share.
Okay, then let me go.
Evans,
talk to me.
Honestly speaking, let's put all jokes aside. We can assure you and Ghanaians that when it comes to the entrenchment of democracy, even on the continent of Africa, you cannot take out NPP as a fraternity. We have a history. We have been consistent. We have not been perfect, though. But we can assure you, what some doomsayers are expecting will never come to pass. We are coherent. Of course, comments and those things, they are very normal. But we are saying that this focus must be shifted away from the national tree or track, simply because Ghana...
When you shift the focus, we'll report it.
No, I'm ending with this. No, let me end.
We're going.
Ghana as a country, in terms of timeliness, some over 30,000 young Ghanaians, including young ladies and young men, are going through what some of them which they had not.
I hear you, but
And I want you
file
to
an urgent
use.
statement on the
I want
matter.
you
I'll
to
cover
use
it.
your.
Why you don't
Okay.
file an
File an
agenda?
urgent
I
statement.
want, I want you to
Haruna,
use.
Okay, I'll
this
use this
platform
opportunity.
If it's important to you that much, file an urgent
and
statement.
join the advocacy.
I would
File an urgent statement in Parliament,
Evans.
and we'll cover it. Don't come
Why?
and sit there and tell
You
me to
need
do
to
it.
I will
empathize
use
with
the
them.
opportunity.
Yeah, Haruna.
Show empathy.
I will use the opportunity.
Haruna, just before you wrap up, though, I mean, in terms of the timelines of opening nominations, I think I've heard you say end of July.
Yeah, by end of July.
Okay.
In my concluding remarks, I would want to draw your listeners' attention to the fact that tomorrow we'll be launching the party school.
Yes, yes.
Which is known
the
as
Patriotic Institute.
Is going to be the inauguration of the NPP's Ideological Institute. And this institute will, among other things, be providing education to party members, party executives, leadership within the party, on the party's philosophy, the party's values, the party's history, and our political strategy in contributing to what we know as the center-right political philosophies. So we are calling on party members' leadership to pass by tomorrow at the party headquarters at 10 a.m. For us to witness this very historic event.
Okay. And by the way, as they say in politics, you can really judge what they focus on by the actions. Focus on the actions. They have been meeting. Today, one of them was in chair, being prayed for, and he says he's going to contest. Over the last 24 hours, one was meeting MMDCEs. The other one was in Ashanti region meeting TESCON. That is their focus.
And how is that dysfunctional?
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
And how is that dysfunctional?